Yeah, man. So this is an update on everything. This is probably the biggest update on this journey since I started recording these videos like 3 months ago. And yeah, the videos I started recording 3 months ago, but I started this journey 10 years ago. But I didn't get to document things because the journey was first trying to get to a point of financial, um, just having a defined source of finance that was in line with my passion. And so since I started this video series, this is probably going to be the longest. I would love that it's not the longest, but it's the most detailed, and it's probably the most important, one of the most important ones. And so I'm going to just read off pointers I have here. So this whole thing started with me wanting to be a top creator, obviously, and I spent years researching and studying, trying to be a top creator in the US, a top American creator in the US, a top American YouTuber, right? Pretty like a top 1% American YouTuber. That's the journey. That's been the goal. And I started from Sokoto State in Nigeria, the poorest state in Nigeria. And I'm here now. My life is so good. I have nothing to complain about. But I wasn't always here before. My life was bad. And I had to work all my way to this point. But the goal was always to be a top American YouTuber. And I did all the research, spent years researching and studying. And I always felt like because I was in Lagos, Nigeria. Before now, I was in Sokoto, Nigeria. I felt like location was a problem. And so one of my major goals in the last year or two was to find a way to move to the US. Um, just find a way to make it work, to be able to go to the US on legally and under conditions that allow me to be able to create content. Because if I wasn't in the US at the time, I believed I would not become a top American YouTuber because, I mean, it just felt like common sense, and the type of video, it just felt like I needed to be there. And so, but after all my years of learning and studying in 2023, I have then come to realize this year that truly, truly, as was my suspicion at some points, you don't have to be in the US to become a top American YouTuber. And that's very true. You actually don't have to live in the US. And as a matter of fact, living in the US does not necessarily play any role in that. What I mean is that I always told myself, if I can snap my finger right now and I appeared in the US right now, would it becoming a top American YouTuber be any easier? And the truth is, with the current state of YouTube, no. If I could snap my finger right now, sorry, 1 minute. If I could snap my finger right now and appear in the US, becoming the top 1% American YouTuber is not going to be any easier. As a matter of fact, it will be more difficult because I'll be spending way more on living expense and not be able to invest enough into the channel. And so that's what I've come to realize this year and realize with evidence. And so it's a fact that what it takes to become a top 1% American YouTuber now, it's not where you are. It's the location basically is not a factor. Becoming a top 1% American YouTuber is one of the realizations of 2023 for me. And realizing that, it then means that living where I am to go to the US is no longer as much of an essential. Now, I still want to as a person because I enjoy the culture and the environment, but that makes it no longer a priority because my priority is to become a top American YouTuber or to build my finance, become a top American YouTuber, and then to live in the US. And so right now, moving to the US is no longer a priority for me. And the challenge now is that the requirement that it takes to become a top 1% YouTuber is unrealistically high. If you're doing personality-based content, to be at the top 1% mainstream, because there are top YouTubers that are not mainstream. And so all this is why in recent, the last couple months, I've been focused on mainstream because at the time, I believe that was the most financially rewarding part of being a YouTuber. And spoiler, this whole talk is to let you know that I found out that it's not. And so back to it. So to become a top 1% mainstream YouTuber, if you're going to make personality-based content and be top 1%, then we're talking like you're going to be like Ashowspeed, because Ashowspeed is like the peak of what you can be as a personality-based YouTuber that's mainstream. And in order to do that, you have to put yourself in constant toxicity, drama, controversies, dangers. And that's something I am not willing to do. even if I am able, I'm not willing to put myself in constant drama, constant controversies, in order to stay relevant. And that's what the game is for personality-based content, to be top 1%. Don't get it twisted. You can be a top YouTuber. What I say is top 1%, which is my goal. And that's my goal, because YouTube for me is one of the ways I intend to build my finance. And if I'm not a top 1% YouTuber, then I'm not really making as much as will allow me to build the kind of quality of life I want to build. And so that's personality-based content. It's super unrealistically difficult to do. I am unwilling to do them. I am not even going to be able, but I'm unwilling to put myself in constant toxicity so as to remain relevant. I am completely unwilling to do that. I have no problem with those who do. As a matter of fact, I have special admiration for them. But even at the promise of that, which has been my childhood dream, to be a top 1% American YouTuber, I would not put myself in constant toxicity, drama, controversy, just living on the edge and just being offensive to people and all that. I can't. That's just not who I am. Now, the idea-based content, if you make idea-based content, MrBeast is like the peak of that. And it's super expensive to make those sort of things. Now, obviously, you don't have to be MrBeast, but in order to break in, you have to almost be MrBeast, if that makes any sense. People like Eric, who had their breakthroughs in 2020 and stuff, the scale of videos he makes now is way different from the scale of videos he made then. Now it's focused more on production value, more than it's focused on the cost of it. Then he made more expensive videos, then he made more daring videos. So for that, it's just, it either costs too much fucking money or too much fucking time. And if you don't do that, you're not grabbing attention as a newbie. And that's just, once again, unrealistically high. I don't even have the kind of money that makes for normal YouTube content, let alone the kind of money to spend. Like, to be specific, if you're not spending $50,000 on a video, or you're not spending days and, what am I saying, weeks on a video, then your chances of, getting recognized as a new YouTuber in the idea-based content is extremely unlikely. And after you do all of these things that I've mentioned for both personality and idea-based content, you still need massive collaborations, and you still need trends. You need massive collaboration, trends, and all of those things I mentioned. So just so unrealistically high. You just need to constantly shock people. I've talked about that before. That's like the way you become top 1%. Just think about it. There's no top 1% YouTuber that has not shocked people with their content. Either if it's an idea-based YouTuber, then it has to do with something they did to themselves or with themselves. If it's a concept-based YouTuber, an idea. So if it's a personality-based YouTuber, it has something to do with their personality. They must have a shocking personality, like IShowSpeed. If it's idea-based content, then no top 1% YouTuber that does idea-based content that does not have shocking ideas. And you have to stay, it has to stay shocking. That's the thing, is that you can gain attention with one shocking idea, but you still have, every idea has to be shocking. And you can look at YouTubers like Ryan, the Penny series was shocking. It's shocking the amount of effort that was put into that. So it's always the amount of effort, the amount of risk. And that would not have been a problem if not that the bar for how much of that amount is enough to grab attention. That bar has been raised very high, and it takes a lot to grab attention. Like, you could sit and count to 1 million in one sitting, 1 to 1 million in one sitting, and not be enough to grab attention. So it's just not it's not sustainable. It's not even very attainable, first of all. And now, even if attained, it's not sustainable. And even if you decide to, or you are able to find a way to sustain it, then it's unhealthy. So it's two things. It's not attainable to be able to shock people enough to gain attention in this day and time as a brand new person. It's not very attainable. And if you figure out a way to gain attention, and you can do your research and see everybody in the last 2 years who's been able to do that, those who've been able to, get that attention have not been able to sustain it, because it's unrealistic how high and how difficult and how expensive it is to do that. So yeah, so my plan was like, oh, that's it. I guess I now know what it takes to be a top 1% American YouTuber, and I'm not going to do it. But I was still interested in being a top 1% YouTuber, even though I wasn't going to do the official requirement. So my plan was to do my very best and accept whatever came with that result, and just have the hope that somehow I'm not going to do what is supposed to be done and still end up getting to the top 1% of YouTube. I wasn't going to give a shit. I don't care. It's like, yes, as in, what's the worst that can happen? Nothing. I already know that I'm not doing, I know what the requirement is. I'm unwilling to do it because it's not smart, it's not healthy. But I'm unwilling to also give up. I'm also unwilling to give up on the price. So it's like I'm unwilling to pay the price, but I want the reward. I'm unwilling to pay the price, but I want the reward. And I'm stubborn and insistent that I can get that reward without paying that particular price. Maybe I'll just find a back door to sneak into. I don't know. That was my plan. To just do the very best I could and accept whatever the reward for that was, while still trying, of course, to find a way into the top 1% of the mainstream. Now, my plan was to make shocking, edgy content like old KSI, similar to Speed, because it's not like I had a problem with the content per se. It was more so I had a problem with the level of it. So the amount of let me explain. So with the personality-based content, my plan was to go through that route of personality-based content, and create shocking content and just have a shocking personality. But it wasn't going to be as shocking as Speed. And if it's not going to be as shocking as whoever is at the top, then you're never beating them at it, or you're never joining them very high up there, if that makes any sense. Because the competition is, you're supposed to be shocking people more than the competition, and you're not even shocking as much. But I was going to just do that and just see how I just wanted to get into the mainstream. Basically, I was like, okay, if I can't make it to top 1%, maybe let's see if there's a way we can get to top 10%. At least the bar into that is not as high as top 1%. Now, it's still difficult, for personality-based content. It means I was still going to be saying things that are shocking, being edgy, being offensive, and like old KSI and similar to Speed, like I said. But I wasn't. But everything's changed, right? Everything changed. I was going to do that. That was my plan until, I don't know if I've made a video since I changed the plan, but this video is primarily addressing that. And for some reason, all these years of research, I never did an in-depth financial market research on how financially rewarding AdSense is for the supposed top 1% mainstream entertainment YouTubers. I was going to try to become a top 1% mainstream entertainment YouTuber because I felt it was the most financially rewarding thing you can be. Also, it positions you for a lot of opportunities outside of YouTube, right? But I had never properly done the research to understand AdSense-wise, which is supposed to be the aspect of it that's cash cow. How rewarding is this financially? Like, even if I did make it to the top 1%, how rewarding, top 1% of mainstream YouTube, how rewarding was it going to be financially? And this is important because one of my top priorities on YouTube is to build my finance. And I'll be pure honest with that. I'm not just doing this for fun. I'm building my finance, doing something I love with a community and audience that I will grow and love. So if I was going to commit to trying my luck at a shot at the top of YouTube, it's got to be something that, should it work, will propel me to my financial goals, if that makes any sense. It shouldn't be something that after it works, I'm now a top 1% YouTuber, and it turns out that the financial reward that comes with that, after all the stress, risk, and danger I've put myself through, the financial reward that comes with that is not as enticing as what I hope or what I want. You understand what I mean? So I did just that. I did my research, and after my research, I found that most top YouTubers, top mainstream YouTubers, top 1% mainstream YouTubers don't actually make enough to justify the effort they put in my opinion, right? The bar is so high, we just said, the content, the level of content, the standard of the content is so high. And I don't think that it is well compensated for with the AdSense that they make through the research that I did. So I don't think that the AdSense revenue, I don't consider the AdSense revenue enough compensation for the effort, time, money, and risk it costs to make the level of content most of the top 1% mainstream entertainment YouTubers make. So I weighed all those factors. I weighed the factors of, cost of making these videos, from financial to risk factors to the effort, and then the AdSense reward. And even though the money, it's like a lot of money, it's not enough compensation for me. Like, if you gave me that money to do those things, I would turn it down and ask for more. Yes, because I have a big appetite. I'm sorry if that's offensive to anyone, but yeah, I'm always wearing, factors. It has to make financial sense for me. And to make financial sense for me too, like the bar I set for myself is high on how much work should bring how much rewards. And so I don't think that most of your favorite YouTubers, if not all of your top 1% mainstream YouTubers, the most talked about YouTubers, I don't think they make enough to justify the effort they put in. And I am too proud to go through all that in exchange for just whatever it is they make, that I obviously can't disclose here, but through my research, I was able to learn. I demand more for that effort. So, and my plan, like I said, was to just keep trying at becoming a mainstream YouTuber, but realizing that the effort is not very well compensated for, then is it really worth me still trying? I already say it is extremely difficult to do. And it's like I'm just there trying to, doing this extremely difficult thing in exchange for what I don't consider enough compensation. So no, it's not. So I weighed all those factors and I've settled to what I consider the most healthy and rewarding genre of entertainment YouTube. And it's not mainstream. It's not mainstream. The mainstream guys don't get compensated for their effort. They seem like, because they get talked about the most and they seem most relevant, and maybe some of them are able to build a personal brand that they're able to use to make money through other sources. But the mainstream guys are, the effort is not compensated for, in my opinion, at least via AdSense. And I know that AdSense is like the least source of revenue for a creator, but AdSense is the cash cow, the first step of cash cow for me. Like the idea of having that, I see YouTube also like an investment where you're able to get like good dividends from your channel over the years. And so the AdSense has to first make sense for me. And so it's not mainstream. Mainstream is not that. It's the lifestyle/challenge niche. And that's where I've decided to settle. That's where I am now. And that's why I'll call home for a long time. And it's also difficult to break in there. You need relationships. You need to have looks. You need to create very visually appealing content. So it's not any easier. The point is, they are all difficult. But I want to make sure that if I am trying at something, should I be able to figure it out as I believe I would, it should be financially rewarding, or at least it should help me, it should propel me to my financial goals, if that makes any sense. So I'm not saying that the lifestyle and challenge niche is easier. As a matter of fact, it's the most saturated, but it's also the most lucrative. And because it is the most lucrative, and I am wired to seek that which is most lucrative and which makes the most sense for me, and I happen to also love it, that is where I've decided to call home. And I have the confidence that I'll still find my way to make it to the top 1% of the lifestyle and challenge niche. Now, whatever the requirements are, I don't give a crap. I'm going to stick to it, and I know that the opportunities will just align. I will make relationships with the top guys there, which, I'm Paul and Preston and Unspeakable and all these folks. They are the top guys there. I believe, without a doubt, actually, that I'm going to be able to build relationships with these people, and those relationships will help me join them at the top. Now, that is not strategic in any way. That's just purely based on belief. When it comes to strategy, I know exactly what to do. I just can't afford to do them, and I'm not willing to do them, which is like the mainstream stuff. And that's the funny thing about the lifestyle and challenge niche, is that there's no entry bar. It's just locked. But the mainstream is that there's an entry bar and it's very difficult. But this one is just locked. There is no newcomers on this space, at the top 1%. But hey, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. And yeah, so I am drifting from trying to become a top 1% mainstream YouTuber to trying to become a top 1% lifestyle challenge niche YouTuber, because it is the most rewarding. Those folks make the most money. It's not even about making the most money. They get compensated for their effort the most, because they don't put as much effort as the people on the mainstream, but they get better results than they do. Maybe because of the audience. I don't know. That's what I'm settling for. And also, the dream to move to the US has been postponed. And that's a big news. because now that I know that moving there does not necessarily help with becoming a top 1% YouTuber, then it's no longer a priority. Because to become a top 1% YouTuber, I've already mentioned what it takes. Mainstream lifestyle. If it's mainstream, I've explained what it takes if you want to make personality-based content or if you want to make idea-based content. Lifestyle, I've explained what it takes. You need relationships with these people and constant collaborations with them. And none of this has anything to do with being in the US, except the collaboration part, which being in the US, it's not what makes the collaboration easy. It's the relationship you have with the people, which is oftentimes, more times than not, built online. And if you build the relationships online and you're able to get people willing to collaborate with you, then you don't have to be in the US. You just have to be able to commute to and fro the US whenever that collaboration is. So obviously, when you're in the US, it will make the commuting easier because you're literally in the US and you're probably just traveling to a different state. But until you are at the position where you're getting these collaborations, there is really no point to being in the US. You could literally be anywhere in the world and it wouldn't matter because you're going to still be filming. You're still going to be filming in your warehouse or in your house. And it wouldn't matter where that house is at all, as long as you're following, you're making the content that audience wants and probably using a VPN, I guess. So the dream to move to the US has been postponed. Now that's a big news because I was already in the process for an O2 visa to the US, and yeah, I can't really give much detail on that. What you just need to know is that I don't intend to take that offer anymore, because like I said, I don't need to be in the US, and if I don't need to be in the US, it is important that I'm not in the US because the cost of living and the tax rates are so high, and it's not a smart living condition for my current financial state and my financial journey at the moment. So I'm very much interested in, moving to the US someday. That's still a personal desire of mine. But the reason it was a priority was because I thought I needed to be there in order to become a top 1% YouTuber. Now I know I don't need to be there to become a top 1% YouTuber. So I am choosing by myself, literally, to turn down the offer to be there until when I am at the financial state that I feel like I can afford that cost of living. That I can afford that cost of living with all the tax implications that comes with California. Until I feel like I can afford that, it is not smart for me to leave my home that has where the cost of living is lower to go there, because then I will not be able to build my financial goals. Does that make any sense? I have financial goals that I've set for myself. So if I'm spending more than I can save, more than I'm saving, or more than how do I put it? If I'm spending more than I set to spend in order to save as much as I want, then I will not be able to save as fast as I want. You can play this part back and just get it. So that's why I am not moving to the US anytime soon anymore. I don't know, not anytime soon, but not now. What will determine when I would move to the US would be my financial status at the time. And I'm not disclosing figures, but I know what the figure is now. And I know that it is not where it makes sense for me to be in the US just because I love the idea of being in the US. But if being in the US was going to help me become a top 1% YouTuber, I was going to commit to that because that's like an investment. All of the cost of living is an investment with the returns that I will get. But I'm not really going to get any return on investments. If I snap my finger now and I was in the US, I'll just start paying more for housing, paying more for medicals, paying more for food. But I'm not gaining any more than I'm gaining here, if that makes any sense. So when I get to a specific financial status, then I can afford to be in the US and afford that cost of living just for the sake of it, because that's actually what I prefer. I really like the culture there. So until then, I'll create content around the lifestyle challenge niche with my team, and hopefully someday I magically make it to the top of the lifestyle challenge niche. If I need to do collaborations, if I'm able to, when I am able to build these relationships necessary for collaborations, I would process visas to just go there and just collaborate with people, see people, and make videos, TikToks and YouTube videos. Come back maybe once a year or twice a year. I visit the US and do that until I hit a certain financial target. Then I start to process an O1 visa. That's what I intend to go with. The O1 visa gives me more freedom. but also gives me the ability to carry my 2 teammates along with me on O2 visa. And so we can all go there and continue making YouTube content there. So until I get to the top 1% or until I get to a certain financial target that I have, I'm not going to the US. And when I get to that financial target, I am going on an O1 visa and carrying my team along on an O2 visa. And obviously, in order for that to happen, I need to have attained a certain height on YouTube because that's what will help me with the O1 visa. So what is the current goal? Current goal is to continue what I do for freelancing. I'm a YouTube consultant. I never really talk about that here because it's not really, we're really talking about my journey as a creator, not my journey as a person trying to build finance. But I'm a YouTube editor and I'm a YouTube consultant. So I'll continue to do that and deliver as much and as efficiently as I can to my clients. Build my channel. I'll start posting content around lifestyle and slash the challenge niche. Make the videos as good as they can be according to the standards there. It's also expensive, but fortunately not too expensive for me. I can afford, it. And so do that. My 2 teammates, Lexi and Stephanie, and keep doing that and see what happens. Now understand, like I said, there is the entry level when it comes to lifestyle challenges. It's not just high, it's inexistent for you to just become a top 1% without the help of some other creators and constant collaboration with them. So I know, and the time for that will come. But I'm just going to create, and there is no guarantee of success because there's no guarantee of success in any of the niches, in whether mainstream or this lifestyle niche. I don't give a crap, and I'm doing this anyways without a guarantee of success. But I'm doing it anyways. I'm choosing, like I said earlier, to do it this, not mainstream, because if there's no guarantee of success, I might as well be doing something that, should I get successful, would be very, very financially rewarding to or financially compensating. And I believe this is the lifestyle niche slash challenge niche is compensating. So that's the plan. That's it, guys. Moving to the US is out of it until I hit some financial targets I have set myself that I cannot disclose here. Until then, I'll focus on creating an easy way to travel to and fro on tourist visa from Lagos to California so that I can build these relationships, create content around lifestyle challenge niche, get to the top, hit a certain financial target, and process an O1 visa and an O2, process an O1 visa for me and process an O2 visa for Lexi and Stephanie, and together move to the US. And then that's that. That's the update. I don't know if there'll be more updates on this channel anytime soon, because this is all you need to know. Everything's changed. That's probably the title of this. Everything's changed. All the plans changed. Rewatch this video to understand. But yeah, all those plans changed. Now it's focusing on scaling my income as a YouTube consultant and YouTube editor, improving my content as a lifestyle slash challenge niche YouTuber, and creating an easy way to commute to and fro on tourist visa from Lagos to California. And yeah, it's same thing, repeat until I hit a certain financial goal. Then it's O1 visa for me and O2 visa for my teammates Lexi and Stephanie. What a fucking dream.